What is up, everybody? I'm NoLuxGiven here with your afternoon snap. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at the August 2023 developer update for Marvel Snap, Big in Japan. I have not looked at this yet, so I'm excited to see what we're going to be looking at next season. I've seen some of the cards a little bit, but sometimes they change as the season starts. So we'll see what we are actually going to be looking at, and then I'm also going to take a look at just the Spotlight Cash schedule for next season as well, and talk about whether or not I think these cards are a good purchase. But first, let's take a look at some fun stuff, probably including Ben Brode, hopefully. Let's see. I should just clarify that I don't really know that much about Marvel if you haven't seen me do one of these kind of reactions before. So some people might see this thing pop up on screen and go, "Oh, cool, it's that guy I love." My knowledge basically spans as far as the MCU, though we do have a Loki season coming up, to launching with Loki Season 2. I believe that's going to be September or October's Marvel Snap season. I have seen Loki on Disney Plus, but I don't really know what's big in Japan. It's this guy, apparently. Camera froze for a second, but looks like we're back. Looks like a Transformer. There's this lady. Okay, this is kind of what you think of when you think big of Japan. You think of some big monsters. There they were. And I guess, yeah, samurai in traditional Japanese fighting. That one guy looks like a big samurai. Okay. That I recognize. That's the Second Dinner logo.
Oh, snap!
I think it's supposed to be a dumpling or something, somebody said. Alright, and there he is.
Hey everybody, it's Ben Brode from Second
Ben
Dinner.
Brode.
Listen, we had a dumpling mishap during the office luncheon. It set off a chain of events I'm currently trying to clean up. Long story short, our beloved mascot Fudd is big and hangry.
I love
This
just the
disaster
work
is actually
that's going into, like, anytime Ben moves his head, which he does a lot, he's a very animated speaker, all of this UI is moving with him. So
very
that's
appropriate
great.
for our next season of Marvel Snap, Big in Japan. Wow, look at that!
Alright, so first look at... Sorry, a little fly came at me. Didn't get it. First look at our first card, and I have to imagine if this is the one we're seeing first, this might be our season pass card. I think Ben's about to let us know whether it is or not in a moment. But this is Daken, which is a 3/4. I believe it's called Daken. I saw some Twitter discourse that is how you pronounce it. And it adds the Muramasa shard to your hand, not to your deck, not like Thor. And I believe the Muramasa shard pumps up Daken on Destroy. So a little bit of a different take from Thor. Obviously, a lot of its power is still going to be in that weapon, and different synergies that might be involved with that. The weapon only costing 1 it is probably better. I believe we're going to see in a moment that you have to destroy the weapon, and you can see in the artwork that the weapon is being destroyed. Daken, kind of interesting, got the Wolverine claws kind of coming out. 2 from his knuckles, and then 1 from his wrist, by the looks of it. So not quite the same setup as Wolverine. But the fact that the shard costs 1... means that you can just blow it up for free with a Killmonger. Killmonger is like a card that's already getting played in a ton of decks. You could play it kind of like... You could honestly just play Daken as a 3/4 that creates this shard that sometimes you could do stuff with, and you could just play it just along Killmonger. One deck that I could see immediately that working with is a Silver Surfer deck, which already plays Killmonger, and then no other real ways to destroy things, but you could. Venom and Deathlock both also destroy things. So that could certainly be an interesting way to play along with Daken in the future. Let's see exactly
it's
what's
this
going on.
It's this one season pass card, Daken.
It is the
Daken is Wolverine's son, and after being abandoned by his father, he coated his claws with the shard of the legendary blade Muramasa, which is the only substance that can block Wolverine's healing factor. Now in Marvel Snap, when you play Daken,
So
you
it's a
add the
son?
Muramasa shard to your hand, and when it's discarded or destroyed,
Killmonger
it doubles
already in
Daken's
hand
power.
in this animation.
You can use Moon
doubles
Girl or
his
location
power.
like cloning vats to create
Whoa,
extra
okay.
shards and double Daken's power multiple
Double.
times.
Okay, that's pretty big.
Wow, fun! Hey, so
The fact that it's double means that there's just a lot of opportunity to play around with that too. Moon Girl, sure, but even if you just play, so let's say turn, it's going to be tough to, so turn 1 you play Nova now in the Silver Surfer list. Typically I wait to play Nova until turn 4, but you have like the Nova, then you play Daken, then you play Maramusa Shard, and then final turn of the game, you play Silver Surfer plus Killmonger. You typically go Killmonger and then Silver Surfer, because then you get more value out of your Silver Surfer because it gives +2 to the Killmonger. But it's not that much worse to play Silver Surfer and then Killmonger, because then Killmonger gives the Silver Surfer +1 from the Nova. So what you're getting out of that is Silver Surfer puts Daken to 6, and then Killmonger puts Daken to 7 before destroying the Marumasa Shard, because Killmonger destroys things in the order that they were played. So Daken will go up to 7 and then double up to 14. So that could be enough to just win one lane by itself, plus Killmonger is destroying opposing cards. So that could be pretty cool.
boards are not part of a balanced diet. Okay, I'm gonna need some backup.
It is the season pass card, so I won't necessarily be putting those decks together myself immediately. But that does seem like a strong thing. You're definitely going to want to have access
Nice. Check out these awesome new mech beer.
to Armor and Cosmo, potentially, if you're playing around that deck. Yeah, it does seem like you could also Shang-Chi it. You could also, and these things you would need to not have. So Armor, Cosmo if you have priority, Shang-Chi if you don't have priority. Or if you have Ghost. Though, then your Ghost is getting destroyed by Killmonger.
Iceman mech, Magneto mech, and
Cool.
Daken mech. That's a lot of... Whoa! Ah, sorry, didn't see you there. Oh, look at that! There's some more new cards that are launching this season. That's X-23, a female clone of Wolverine who learned how to use her power.
So, I'm not sure when we should... I guess we'll just watch the full video and then we'll look at the season pass stuff. Let's do it that way. X-23, a 1/2. So, again, going to get destroyed by Killmonger. Again, we see Wolverine claws on her. But I think this is something that you'll want to destroy with Killmonger.
Powers for good from her surrogate father, Logan. Now, when she's discarded or destroyed, she regenerates at a random location, and you get +1 energy next turn. Now, that's great with a card like...
So they didn't flash up the text on screen, which is normally when I'd pause. But yeah, when destroyed or discarded, she respawns, similar to Wolverine. And then you get +1 energy, which is a new kind of neat thing. And I think that some of like the first things that I think of is you can use that extra energy to replay your Deadpool as well, because Deadpool lists kind of get choked, and that's right up on the screen here as well. That might be Ben Brode's next word out of his mouth.
Deadpool,
Because oftentimes those decks are going to be choked on energy, and now you have 1 extra energy, just because playing Deadpool, like, you can't really think of Deadpool, even if you've doubled him multiple times, you can't really think of him as a 1/8, because let's say you've doubled him 3 times, to 2, to 4, to 8. That actually makes him a 4/8, because you've spent 3 or 4 total energy playing him, 3 energy, and then like you destroy him each time. So that means that Deadpool is kind of held back by himself, by his own mechanic. He was briefly usable alongside in like Beast strategies and stuff. And now I think they've just changed Beast to be a little bit too expensive to like really pop off with that. But it could still be fun. But now you have the opportunity to get some additional energy, and that could help you play Deadpool a few more times. I think that there might also be other interesting implications of it. Just another cool way to ramp yourself into, like, we see Arnim Zola in the hand in this. What if you just like play a bunch of destruction and then you get to play a turn 5 null into a turn 6 Arnim Zola on that null? That could be a lot of fun and actually quite powerful. So that's something that I think could be fun with X23. I think that the interesting thing about X23 is she doesn't necessarily just easily slide into other decks. I don't think that the current decks, even though some of like the Destroyer decks, which Destroyer, a nice card to play with her for sure, especially if like she helps you play a turn 5 Destroyer and then turn 6 you have 7 energy, or on turn 7 you have 8 energy. Those could be fun things to play around with. So there is that deck that she potentially slots into, but I think Dakin more slots into existing Silver Surfer decks, just like in a very straightforward way. Once you add both of these effects in the game, they start maybe spawning some more archetypes, or just potentially spawning archetypes in general. One thing, the X23 just spawning archetypes in general. There's also some synergy with the past season pass card. I'm thinking about Phoenix Force. If you can like make Phoenix Force your X23, and then you can like keep moving it and blowing it up. I'm not sure exactly how useful that is. Oh, and you know what? Scratch that. Probably doesn't work. I think that it's tricky. The graveyard is a weird mechanic in this game, but the big thing being like, if you discard an Apocalypse, it technically returns to your hand, so then you can no longer reanimate it with Ghost Rider or Hela. I think X23 is probably going to be the same thing, but that does mean that you can destroy it and not worry about reanimating it with the Phoenix Force. So that could be something to think about as well. Let's see what else Ben
the
has
extra
to
energy
say.
lets you play Deadpool more often. You can also play Hulkbuster on X23 to get even more value out of cards like Venom and Null.
Sure.
And there's Silver Samurai.
Sure.
Silver Samurai is a Ronin.
Specifically, Venom and Null were mentioned there, which is why I said that the graveyard is like kind of a funky thing. But I don't think that Phoenix Force has any interaction with this card. It would just be cool. I'm thinking like Phoenix Force, and then like you move things into Kingpin to destroy them. This is like such a wacky brew at this point, and move them into that location that like would come up eventually. Now this card, I'm not sure what this does. It has the word silver in its name, but notably does not work with Silver Surfer. But what does Silver Samurai do?
Focus energy from his body into his sword, allowing him to cut through almost anything. Now when Silver Samurai reveals, each player discards the lowest power card from their hand. This card is super good with Swarm.
Yeah, Swarm is certainly the first thing that you think of, and then Wolverine and X23 as well. So providing a little bit more support for self-discard. And basically it's just going to be a 4/5 with an upside for you and potentially really disruptive, interesting tools against your opponent. Trying to think of the best one-cost thing that you can hit other than Dakin's sword. That's pretty crazy that they're like already releasing an answer to Murumasa. But hitting Dakin's sword is going to be huge, which means you'll want to run out the sword. Now, typically in a Silver Surfer list, just because of the way the curve works out, you will not want to save the Murumasa for the final turn, except maybe in like some Serra builds. You'll typically run out the sword on turn 4, which means that Dakin really has to get played turn 3. Exactly on turn 3. If you play Dakin on turn 4, then I guess on turn 5 you could run out Murumasa plus Nova. That's actually going to hold Dakin back a lot. The fact that it always wants to be your turn 3 play. Now, it's good to have a turn 3 play. There's a lot of cards you don't want to play on turn 3 in a Silver Surfer deck. You don't want to play Maximus, Swordmaster, Killmonger, Shadow, King, Silver Surfer. There's a lot. That's almost half the deck. I'm sure you could come up with one more. Juggernaut. Yeah, so there you go. Half of the deck doesn't want to get played on turn 3. So having a card that definitely wants to get played on turn 3 is going to be a welcome addition, but that does limit his power overall in terms of like the optimal 14 power curve that I laid out a few moments ago.
Wolverine, the new X-23, or Dakin's Muramasa Shard. Silver Samurai can be used to enable cards like Stature and Ghost Rider. Or you could try combining it with Colleen Wing and Black Cat to make a small ball Hella deck. Oh man, and Lady Deathstrike.
Lady Deathstrike.
She's a cyborg who can stretch her adamantium fingernails up to a foot long.
Everybody's got adamantium.
She's a living
weapon. Silver Samurai.
When Lady Deathstrike is revealed, she destroys each card in that location with less power than her.
I don't know if this is the Big in Japan season or just the adamantium season. Okay, this is a... Wow. They show off, like, the nuts high roll for Lady Deathstrike immediately. So she's a 5/3 that destroys one card in the opposing location with less power than her. I'm going to rewind.
When Lady Deathstrike is revealed, she destroys each card in that...
Each card. Okay, so the Wong actually doesn't matter here, other than it doubling the Shuri, so that way she can eat the whole thing. Though, it wouldn't actually be necessary. But... okay, interesting with precisely Wong Shuri off of Zabu. That's a big commitment though to one location for sure. Interesting. Fisk Tower is the location, by the way, that I couldn't think of a few moments ago. Wow, so Lady Deathstrike does seem good against Mysterio clones. She kills Zabu. She kills Super Scroll. I'm just thinking of cards in the deck that I'm currently playing, but killing Zabu is pretty big. She won't kill Cyclops unless you Shuri pump her. She'll kill stuff like Wasp, Misty Knight, sure. That's an interesting one, but the fact that it's each means that it's pretty big. It means you could kill all the Broodlings. It means you could totally wreck a Cerebro 2 list. How relevant are those things? Kills magic. So obviously, she kills one thing, then she's a 5/5. She kills two things, she's a 5/7. She kills three things, she's a 5/9. So those are the numbers you want to be thinking about. You could also be pumping her up with things like Okoye and the other card that they nerfed into Oblivion and buffed like a month ago.
That location with less power than her. Use Forge, Nakia, or Shuri to raise her power and destroy more cards. You know what's super rude? Combo this with art.
She does kill your own cards. Okay. Well, that opens up a whole new world. Now she can kill Wolverine, X-23, Deadpool, Forge itself. The fact that she kills the Shuri means that, like this example is showing, you can use her to kill the Shuri, the X-23, and then still Arnim Zola in that location. Okay, so they just made this game from like a high roll to an insane high roll. Yeah, because then, okay, well, this is like the nuts combo then. Okay, if you can do this, she's pretty good. You'll want to play Magic in this deck. They're playing Nakia, can't see what else. Seems cool, seems fun.
Arnim Zola to destroy almost every card your opponent has played this game. Whoa! Watch it, buddy! It's not safe.
Scorpion becomes an interesting and powerful tech option to Lady Deathstrike then as well.
Brilliant! It's the new locations for the Big in Japan season. Hopefully.
So one thing we did not see, I'm not sure if we will see this at the end of this video at any point, we did not see which series each of these cards are premiering to. We might see that as this video
These
goes
citizens
on,
can make haste and escape danger at Yoshida Bay.
I'll talk briefly on the locations they're going to showcase here. Locations are kind of interesting because I did enjoy making content based off featured locations, but now the game feels very much like you can hit infinite within like the first week, and then featured locations don't matter. I personally would like to see featured locations make their way into Conquest. I think that would spice up the mode significantly. I don't know if we're going to get that because people really hate featured locations, but...
At the end of the game, destroy the last
card to get here. Okay, well, there's interesting ways to play around that, of course, like Bucky Barnes being the obvious way, or just if your opponent plays there early, you don't play there. It means that having priority on the final turn is super important, which is something that Destroy decks can do. That's all interesting stuff to think about.
Card to get here. And Valley of the Hand. After turn 5,
your destroyed cards revive here, just straight up. So Valley of the Hand is a great example for what I was bringing up earlier. I don't think that Deadpool, Wolverine, and X-23 will revive into the Valley. That is a spicy, spicy location. It's also like so easy, and I've brought this up. I think I actually brought this up on the Snap Clash podcast when I was a guest on there once or twice previously. If not, maybe I brought this up in some previous location reviews or something, but I feel like I used to just have a Deadpool deck that I would play every week when a new featured location came out, because so many featured locations lend themselves to destroy lists. And what's actually interesting about that is it means that there's actually just a lot of locations that are really good for a destroy deck. And when you play a destroy deck, like, it's kind of random whether or not those locations come up. But it also means that there's just like your deck winds up being randomly synergistic with the different gameplay elements that are going on in a really powerful way. That I think if you're just otherwise looking at destroy decks on paper, they're underrated is what I'm trying to get at here. Right now, I'm also thinking there's a lot of Storm and a lot of Magic running around. So these locations can also go away, but they could also potentially get abused with the Legion, which is something that I'm also thinking could be fun. Yoshida Base has a little bit more synergy with Legion. Valley of the Hand plus Legion, again, you might only get one revive out of that, because once cards are revived, I think they are no longer considered dead. However, they are still considered having been destroyed for purposes of null and death. It's a very weird interaction there, but I think if you Legion Valley of the Hand, you'll only get one reanimation, but we'll find out.
Destroyed cards revive here.
Oh no.
FUD! That's not a low-carb diet, it's swimsuit season. I'm sorry, old friend, but it's time to end this. We have so much cool art coming to the game this month. Here's a sneak peek. We've got mech, kaiju, anime variants, and more.
This is just
if I don't survive this,
variants.
just a reminder that we just revamped the Marvel Snap development.
Did see this, didn't really talk about it much. I think the coolest thing on here is still in concept, the new game mode. Don't really care for smart decks because I'm playing the game a lot. However, in games that I kind of just like play every once in a while, I think that having access to smart decks is really important. But generally, you also kind of have to look at that, like, so, I don't know, there for a while, there was a lot of games that I would log into every day, complete the daily missions, and then log out. And it was really Storybook Brawl that made me say, I should just be playing games that I find fun. And then I stopped doing my daily missions in Hearthstone, Eternal, Magic Arena, etc. And now I really just play Marvel Snap, and that's like the only. But I'm playing the game. I'm happy enough to play the game. I don't just do the missions and then stop. Sometimes I do, but generally I play more than enough each night or each day to just complete the missions regardless. And I want to play the game, and I find it fun to play the game. So smart decks are kind of a trap. If you feel yourself excited about smart decks, that's basically what I'm here to say. If you think smart decks are like, oh cool, now I don't have to think about the decks, I can just log in, hit the smart deck button, do my missions, you might want to just reevaluate in a way that like, I'm like, whatever you find fun with your time, go for it. But if you're not finding the game fun, then just stop playing. So smart decks are like kind of like a weird thing that kind of keep people hooked on some of like the progression loops without actually enjoying the game. And if you don't enjoy the game, find another game that you enjoy more. That is my note for you. Conquest Polish could be nice. Infinite Rank Revamp could also be nice because Infinite just seems so easy now, and Conquest, kind of knew this was going to be an issue. I think I brought this up, but I was able to secure 2 Infinite Borders this season after not getting it in previous seasons, and I never really stressed about not getting it previously, but now that I have it, it's kind of like, well, I can keep playing for like the same reward. What's really the point of it? And I like this seasonal variant that you get in the avatar, and maybe I'll try to make each season's avatar get the Infinity Border in the future. I'm still playing because I still enjoy the game. The rewards leave a little bit to be desired there. And I did not realize that we did not have global matchmaking. That'll be important as players drop off from playing the game. PC launch will be cool. Twitch drops will be nice as well. Same kind of thing though, like you should watch Twitch streams because you're enjoying them, not necessarily for the drops, but as a smaller creator, it's nice to have an additional incentive for people to watch me on Twitch. Speaking of which, I'm actually live streaming this on Twitch right now if you're watching this on YouTube later. But I've moved over. I think I'm just going to be streaming on Twitch from now on. That way I can like allow people to do song requests and yeah, that's basically it. It's really just allowing people to do song requests. I think that'll be more fun for me and will just make me more willing to stream just a little bit more. So if you only watch me on YouTube, you can also catch me live at twitch.tv/NoLuxGiven. Prestige level, heard a little bit about that, and I think it sounded like it was mostly for variants, so not really something that affects me, but collectible emojis and card emotes and stuff, that'll all be good. Personalized shop, don't care about. Spotlight Cash could certainly use an improvement or two, though. Oh yeah, this is the cosmetic stuff that I don't really care about. Guilds and social systems, actually kind of mixed feelings on that. Yeah, I feel like that can come with weird incentives, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Development roadmap with some exciting new updates. We're so close to launching on Steam. Check it out at marvelsnap.com. Let's do this! Ah!
Alright, now he's gonna fight this thing.
Oh, right. You also eat swords. Oh, he's finally full. I probably should have tried that sooner. For everyone flying to Germany
Okay, I was
for
not
Gamescom
expecting
next
that.
month, make sure to stop by the booth. We'd love to meet you in person. And for everyone else, thank you so much for playing Marvel Snap. Hope you enjoy Big in Japan, and let us know how you like it. Bye, Fudd!
Alright, so that will be the end of this
Do I get to
video. Big in Japan available, actually will be available now by the time you're watching this on YouTube. It's not technically available now, but I also wanted to talk about Spotlight caches for the month of August. So, yeah, there will be 4 weeks of Spotlight caches. This is going to be a 4-week season. Last season was 5 weeks long. And here are your different options. So, there's going to be like a few caveats to this. Because, so, for any card, there's like, I'll say 3 options, but that really is an oversimplification. First option, try to open it with Spotlight caches. Second option, pay tokens to open it. Third option is going to be you don't want the card. And that is totally acceptable as well. Okay, they are putting Silver Samurai last, which makes a lot of sense to me because it answers the season pass card, and that would be really weird. So if you don't have Galactus, I think that this is a great time to just bang out through the Spotlight caches. You also do have to remember that there is a 4th potential option for a random card, and then if you already have that card, you just get 1,000 tokens. So that's something to be aware of as well. Now, how I look at this is pretty straightforward. I don't have any of these cards. I don't have anything from the Spider-Man season, so all of these are new to me. Obviously, I do have Kitty Pryde, and then I do have Galactus and Nimrod. But for me, I could just open up season pass stuff here and open up season pass stuff here. The other thing that you do still want to kind of think about a little bit if you're trying to maximize your collection as much as possible is I don't really have a huge desire to play with MODOK. I think that Stature is probably pretty good, but I do want Nebula. So even though this was a season pass card, which probably means most people aren't super interested in it, I'm probably going to open along here. But when I do that, I will probably just open until I get Nebula. And if I open this week, I will probably open just until I get Stature. And I'll give you a great example of that. I opened up cards. I believe it was... I'm going to check on my app right now. But I opened up cards the week that Thanos was in Spotlight caches. And I can't remember the cards that were alongside with him. If that might have just been earlier this week. And I'm going to check when this is loaded up in just a moment. But whatever that was, you can leave it as a comment down below if it was not this week's card. But I'm going to find out in a second. Yeah. Okay, so it was Mirage. It was Mirage, Thanos, and Master Mold. And I opened up and... you can see right here, let's see, can you see that? So I opened up and I got Thanos. You can kind of tell what's going on there. Mirage, Master Mold, and random card. I opened up, I got Thanos, and then I stopped because I didn't really want Master Mold and I didn't really need Mirage. And one thing that keeping Mirage in there does is it means there's going to be more weeks in the future next month where Mirage maybe shows up as that 3rd card, and because I don't need it right this second, it's actually going to increase my ability to have additional weeks where I'm interested in opening up all 3 cards. So sometimes I'm not super inclined to pick up the newest card because I know I'll be able to pick them up in future Spotlight caches. So that might be what I do with X23's week, though I think I'm going to be interested in just banging out the full week, but we'll see. We'll see how much I stop on. This week is also interesting because Spider-Man 99, not a super important card. Kitty Pryde, you already have. If you like the Kitty Pryde artwork, sure, that's one thing, but it might not be worth 3 Spotlight or 4 Spotlight caches for you to guarantee you get the Silver Samurai. So this could be a week where I definitely could see spending tokens instead, especially if tokens are... if this card only costs 3,000 tokens. So that's going to be another consideration that I don't actually know as I'm recording this, which of these cards cost 3,000 tokens versus 6,000, and how you'll want to spend accordingly for those. But I will say, I think that this track is like pretty good. Spider-Ham is pretty fantastic. It's showing up as a 1/1 here. You'll have to remember it's actually a 2/2 now, but it's still one of the best 2-cost cards in the game that can just slot into a variety of different decks. I think that Nimrod is actually the next best card in this list. There's a really fun Nimrod Destroyer Invisible Woman list right now. I'm actually not super hot on Galactus since Nerf, and it kind of works with Nimrod, but it also kind of doesn't. I do think that X-23 could potentially have some potential with Galactus, just allowing you to have some ramp and playing some destroy effects like Nimrod that are otherwise still synergistic. It is tough to make all of the energy requirements work, though. Maybe you could make it work with like Electro in there as well for like some crazy big build. But it's a little spicy regardless there too. And Electro is hard to make work with Iron Fist. But yeah, Ghost Spider and Iron Fist feel like potentially the ways to make Galactus work now alongside Shuri, which needs to be played at the same location as another card. So kind of some weird synergies going on there. Because I'm not really saying too much more because it's hard to know. But the one thing that I will say, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord. Both of those places, I will put my thoughts on the current week's season caches, spotlight caches, and whether or not I'll be making use of them. So you can see if I think it's a good deal to be purchasing the things that not or not. This past season, I think the only new card that I deliberately got was Legion. And I just straight up bought it with tokens. I wasn't interested in the other cards releasing alongside Legion, or I think actually was. It might have actually been an insane week with both Darkhawk and High Evo plus Legion, which is like a snap pickup if you don't already. And the other thing also to consider, not only making cards available for you in future season caches, but the more you hold on to your caches, the more you'll be able to just bang through a week. Say you really want X-23. Even if you already have Nebula, don't open these first 2 weeks and then open up this week until you get X-23. That's a pretty straightforward way to make use of the system. The addition onto that is like if you are really struggling with the Spotlight caches and enough that you are not opening this week and not opening this week, just so that way you've got a higher chance at opening up X-23, can think about it the other way. Don't open X-23, and then you'll be able to get it in what is potentially the October season pass at that point. But that does give you a little bit more flexibility to say like, okay, I'm going to open one of my caches this first week. I like all 3 of these cards. I'm just going to see what happens. And then next week I'm not going to open. Then you'll have 2. So you could try to get X-23, and if you miss, then start stockpiling and make sure you always have just a little bit of a reserve. And that way when X-23 rolls around again, you'll be able to just buy out the whole week. You'll be able to grab the new card, X-23, and then like Thanos or something, or a Thanos variant at the very least. I did load up this as well, so that way people could also see the variants that are coming. This is kind of low res, but if that entices you towards a particular decision, obviously you can purchase accordingly. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you guys very much for watching. I'm No Lex Given. Peace.